Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Run Yogi Diaries. This is your host, Santosh Shiva. Over the last 2 years, I've had the privilege of talking to some amazing people, day-to-day people, who are on an extraordinary journey of well-being through endurance sports. I hope you took some possibility back into your lives, took some action, and maybe some inspiration to perspire. If you're on this channel for the first time today, please do consider subscribing to it. Leave your comments if you think you took something away or you had some thoughts about today's conversation. And remember to like the video if you liked it. In the house today is Shajan Samuel, someone whose story is inspirational. You're going to love it. Someone who struggled with weight and unhealthy lifestyle and took upon himself to make some very drastic changes that has led him to where he is today, to becoming an ultra runner. In addition, he not only takes care of himself but is out to evangelize the benefit of a healthy lifestyle focused on well-being and joy to everyone else. Let's dig in and get behind the scenes of this amazing story. Hey Shajan, welcome to Run Yogi Diaries.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Santosh.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show. You've been in a fascinating journey of self-discovery through fitness and endurance. So we have a lot to learn and talk about today. Um, but let me take a stab at maybe giving an introduction to you to the audience here. You are someone who's been on this journey for about 10 years now. Someone who thought of himself as overweight at some point, took on with vengeance to become fit and athletic. And anyway, long story short, in the last 10 years, you've done many long distance runs, you've done ultras, you've journeyed yourself in ultras, and also taken on evangelizing, lifestyle, good, useful, healthy lifestyle for everybody. You have a YouTube channel, you talk about it regularly. I see you're very active on Twitter, spreading the message. So it's just not been about you, but you're also out to impact this into the world. um, you are a father, husband, got two lovely daughters, and currently live in Pune and Noida. You work as a chief revenue officer in a leading brand, edtech brand in India. Did I miss anything?
No, it's perfect.
Oh, great. So obviously we are here to get behind the scenes about who you are and how you got about, in this journey, Shajan. So maybe we should do a bit of a flashback and roll back the time machine a little bit and go back to where it all started and why. Like why did you suddenly decide to start running and explore fitness?
So I had a sales job. So
Hmm.
I started working at the age of 16 years doing bits and pieces jobs. Then I graduated from St. Xavier's College, Calcutta, and I had a college in the morning. So college used to get over by 9:40, and sales was something which I enjoyed. So after
Hmm.
college, I used to work with Tata Press Yellow Pages. I got my big break with MRF tires, baptism by fire. I went to Agra when I was around 20 to 23 years, and then I grew through the ranks. In 2.5 years, I got promoted to middle manager in MRF tires, which is one of the fastest promotion in MRF's history. So I had a through
Hmm.
and throughout sales job, and that job,
Hmm.
took me to a lot of places. I traveled across geographies extensively, and I used to travel 25 days a month
Wow.
across Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and then I came to Kerala. I was the youngest regional head of JK Tires, 2005, and I had a traveling job. So in Kerala, I just went berserk. So I used to have
Hmm.
paratha and beef fry and chicken fry and all those stuff when I was around 33, 34 years. That's when all hell broke loose. And I
Hmm.
never was conscious about anything about health, and I never knew anything about sustainable, healthy lifestyle. So I was just eating.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
to my heart's content. And I found solace in food. I thought food is the comfort. I mean, the reassurance
Hmm.
always you seek in food. So after a long hard
Right.
work or traveling across Kerala, I find comfort in food, and that made me happy. And I used to have
Hmm.
all junk food, all aerated drinks. I never smoked or never took liquor because that was central
Hmm.
to my principle. So I didn't smoke and didn't drink, but eating was all over the place. So one fine
Hmm.
morning, when I was around 37 years plus off the fly, I thought I should just go for a run. And to my utter dismay and bewilderment, I found out that I could run only 100 meters, and I was gasping and panting for breath.
So
And
you
I
just
thought this
decided
is
to
not
run randomly, just like that.
yeah,
Ah,
off the fly,
no,
off the
no
fly.
motivation, nothing
Nothing,
like no trigger, nothing.
just off the fly. So I had a pair of, just a pair of old shoes lying there. So I just wore it and ran.
Hmm.
And I was just surprised that, yeah, I don't have any stamina. And I thought to myself, this is grossly unfair. This is not right. This is not done. So next
Okay.
day I mustered some more courage and then ran some more. So I could run 150 meters, and I was 92, 93 kgs. So I was tipping over the scales, and my BMI was well above the recommended
But did that
standards.
bother you? Did that bother you
No,
at
I
that
was
point?
never conscious about it. No, before the run, I was never conscious. I thought I was the smartest guy
Okay.
and coolest guy. Now when I look back at those pictures, I really find it amusing that how I thought myself as a rock star.
Hmm.
But when I ran and I found that my stamina is lot to be desired, I was very worried because I
I
was
think
just
I think when we are
37, 38
young,
years.
we also take pride in the fact that we can eat more than we need to, right?
Yes,
I remember
yes, yes.
back when we were early late teenagers, we used to take bets on how many fulkas we can
Yeah,
consume
yeah.
in one sitting.
Yes,
We used to take
yes.
that. We should take pride
Hundred
in
percent,
in that, right?
100%, 100%. I think see the common sort of perception is that till 38 kudrat आपका ख्याल रखेगा. It means nature
Huh.
will take care of you, and from 30 you need to be careful. But I think it's age agnostic now. Health is now age agnostic. It has
Hmm.
got nothing to do with age. The earlier the better. You cultivate painless good habits that will pay you
Hmm.
rich dividends throughout your entire life. And not only it improves the length of your life, it also improves the depth of your life, and that is extremely
And,
important.
and were you and were you somebody who was an active kid when you were growing up in school and
See,
college? No.
I was always an introvert. I was a backbencher
Hmm.
in school, and I lacked confidence. So I couldn't look into people's eyes and strike a conversation. In fact, I remember vividly that whenever my friends came home, I used to hide in the bathroom and tell my mom that I'm not there. So
Really?
yeah, yeah. But I played a lot of fun sport like hand cricket,
Uh,
football, and we used to kick the person on more than the ball. I mean, all those fun type of school games. I never
right.
excelled in anything.
Hmm.
In academics also, I bloomed late. I mean, till class 10. I mean, I got good marks in class 10. I got a good marks, but in 11th I started picking up academically. But sports, I
Hmm.
played, I dabbled here and there, but I never excelled in anything. I mean,
Okay.
I didn't find that as something where I could excel.
Hmm. Okay. Terrific. So coming back, you're at age 36, 37. You did this 100 meters and were gasping for breath. And then what happened?
So then I started showing up every day in my just that ordinary pair of shoes and my normal shorts. Showed up every day, and I started to put in the extra effort so that 100 meters then became 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer. All that point I was running with an overweight on 92, 93 kgs. So
Hmm.
until 40, I could do 10 kilometer, and I first participated in competitive running in TCS World 10K 2012, if my memory serves me right. I managed to complete the race with great satisfaction. I could
Hmm.
finish in a very modest 1 hour 27 minutes, and I was still 7 kilometer like fun, and then walk jog. Somehow I finished the finish line, and that was like a great thing for me because I managed to do 10 kilometer.
Hmm.
And then so five that 10 kilometers happening through a combination of run, jog, walk. It was never like
Okay.
it never fluent in that. So my best time till the age of 41, 10 kilometers, 1 hour, 5 minutes, 1 hour, 4 minutes, hovering
Hmm.
around that mark. But the age of 40 years, and my weight still remains status quo. So at the age of
This is
40
like
years,
3 years. This is
3 years.
over 3 years.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Over 3 years, 10 kilometers, did not have the guts to graduate from 10 to anything beyond that. But the age of 40 years, so the anecdote which I have is that, which will also help the listeners, is that, so when I was doing my 10K, I used to come see people coming after doing 21K. So they used to cross the other side.
Hmm.
And I used to just
Hmm.
wonder, yeah, I'm struggling to do 10K, and these guys are like super incredible. They're doing 21K and they're running 21K. I mean, hats off to these people. So I
Hmm.
did not have the mental sort of wherewithal to jump anything over 10, because it scared the daylights out of me. So I just
Hmm.
kept it at 10. But at the age of 40 years, I made this audacious commitment. So the difference
Hmm.
between promise and commitment is a promise you make to the world, commitment you make to yourself. So
Hmm.
I made this audacious commitment that hook, line, sinker, whatever it takes, I'm going to transition into a long distance runner.
Hmm.
And this was like a far fetched dream, nothing on the radar, because I'm struggling to do 10K and I've had this audacious commitment to do 40. I mean, to do this ultra at the age of 40, when most people resign to the fate and say, यार हो गया बस अब खाना खाना है, अब enjoy करना है life को. So
One thing I'd love to get a little bit more, insight on, Shajan, is why. Because is it like kind of midlife crisis? Was it a midlife crisis for you? Like, there's a joke that goes around that when you're in midlife, either you can buy an expensive car, or you can have a extramarital affair, or you can start running. There's a joke.
अच्छा अच्छा
running
okay.
is a running is the cheapest form of dealing with midlife crisis. So was it something like that for you? Because it seems like, when you started running randomly the 100 meters, there was no specific trigger. It was just random, but there seems to be something behind the scenes that's driving your foray, you're wanting to push. What was that? Was it just the fact that you were getting 40 and you say, hey, my life is coming to some form of midlife? What was it?
So I think till 40 years, I mean, that especially that period between 35 to 40, I was like a ship without a radar. So I
Hmm.
was drifting aimlessly, and there was no purpose in my life. No, I mean,
Okay.
the job was going on fine. It was autopilot sort of a job. So I had to
Hmm.
just, the job was also fine. It was good job. And I was just going through the motions. I mean, just go through the motion, and your life just
Hmm.
keeps going without you making any clear impact. So at the age of 40, I thought I have too much, I have a lot more to offer than this. So I wanted to
Yeah.
push myself to discomfort, because I always knew that on the other side of discomfort is greatness. And for
Hmm.
me to discover that greatness and for me to discover that magic, I have to dive deep into the unknown. So I
Got
made
it.
some strong, bold decisions. I moved to Mumbai. I knew that I wanted to make things tough for me, so I stayed in a slum for 3 4
Wow.
months. I slept on the hard floor. There was no amenities in the house. There was no kitchen. I mean, there was a kitchen, but just for the sake of it. But there was no fridge.
Hmm.
There was no bed. There was no TV. Nothing. So I went to that old monk style, where you make things difficult for yourself, and in 3 months, with a lot of determination and willpower, because it takes 90 days to cultivate a strong sustainable habit. And then
Hmm.
I managed to reduce 21 kgs straight off from there. And then
Yeah.
and then
Let's
I
pause there.
started to ramp up the mileage.
Let's pause there. That's a fascinating aspect of your journey, right? So it seems like what I'm hearing is life. You kind of hit a block or a wall in enjoying or
Mhm.
experiencing purpose or joy in life, and there was something missing. And then
Right,
you went on this
right,
journey
right.
of seeking. It seems like you were in a journey of looking to see, hey, what else is out there. I'm comfortable making decent money. I'm married. I have kids. Everything is settled. Whatever you aspired for when you were probably 16, 18 years old is now all done. and then you're like, what
Right.
next, right? And it seems like that's what's been the
Right.
drive for you. And it's also fascinating that you chose to do take on a monk like lifestyle, live in the. So what was your family reaction to this, when when you took on something like this?
So bad at that point of time. Of course, they were thinking I was not serious about this.
Uh-huh.
Just I'm just kidding about it. So
Okay.
then you have to bind the family, and there is a lot of trade-off happening, which happens. So at
Right.
that trade-off, you have to because life is not like. I mean, if you want to get something, you have to make some trade-offs. So I made some
Mm.
trade-offs. I managed to get the buy-in from the family, and I was pretty serious about this. That look, this is serious. I mean, I'm. It's not
Mm.
just I want to try it out, but I want to be successful at this attempt. So you have these deep
Yeah.
conversations with family, and then they see your point of view. Only in hindsight you know whether this is working or not. At that
Yeah.
point of time, you just go for whatever your heart tells you. You just go for it. And I also had a lot of deep inner conversation with myself, and
Mm.
I think that running also gave me that avenue to
Mm.
have this deep conversation, because what we miss is that we are so we are so caught up with this with this aim of making other people happy, on think
Mm.
or thinking about what others think about us, that we seldom think about us, or we know ours. We don't know our true
Mm.
potential. Okay,
Mhm.
we have to tap into our inner potential and to harness and optimize our potential. We have to push our limits. So we have to push
Mhm.
ourselves to struggle. Okay,
Mhm.
and only when you push yourself to struggle, you will find the real you. And every single person who is listening to your show, Santosh, I must tell you that all of us have been dealt with the same hand, and we are
Mm.
special. And the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is a little bit extra.
Yeah.
So we all feel that we are at 100% of our potential and we can't do much further than this. But I can tell you, after 9 years of running, that I believe that I'm at 40% of my potential. There's so much more to offer. I'm still work in progress. I'm still learning the
Mm.
ropes, still trying to interact with people, try to go behind the science of how some great athletes they're performing and get into their minds. So every
Mhm.
single day you're trying to learn, you're trying to discover yourself, you're trying to maximize your potential.
Right. No, makes sense. So rolling back, right? I think, but also in your case, it's not running happens to be a kind of a physical expression of what you were trying to do. That I get that, but the fact that you took on 3 months of a monk-like lifestyle, right? Is a very it's a big change. It's a drastic change of. It's almost like somebody deciding to say, "Hey, I'm donning the robe and becoming a monk or something like that." And so that's fascinating. And what about did you continue to work during that time, or did
Yeah, yeah.
you take a break? Or okay.
No, no, I was working during that time, but I was very much clear that I will leave office by 6 o'clock.
Hmm.
So I used to leave. Some days I had to travel out, but that was okay. But I negated my travel, so I reduced my travels, and I was very clear that after 6 I'll go. At 7 p.m. I used to be asleep. I used to be fast asleep because of
And
one
this
way
was in the
what.
slums, somewhere in the
Yeah,
slums, right?
slums. Yeah.
Wow.
So I knew that I moderated my food. I knew I stopped taking dinner. So I wanted
Hmm.
to make things harsh for myself. I was experimenting. I never
Yeah,
knew how
yeah,
things would pan out, but
yeah.
I was experimenting, and I knew the best way to kill hunger is to go and sleep.
Hmm.
Because if you're awake, and I should never buy anything and keep in my house. There was nothing. So in the middle of the night, I used to wake up with hunger, but I had only a bed sheet to swallow. Nothing else was there, and a glass of water. So I should drink that and go back
Hmm.
to sleep. So slowly by slowly, that I embraced that new sort of lifestyle. I look
And you were
forward.
alone.
I was alone. I was
You
staying
were
alone.
alone.
Yeah,
Okay. So
I was
I mean, your wife and kids were,
Pune.
back in Pune. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow. Wow. That is amazing. That's a huge, great. So you did this, and you lost weight, and you was beginning to run. Yeah. Let's get back into your story. What happened?
So I took a massive leap of faith and signed up for Airtel Delhi half marathon, which is 21
Mm.
kilometers. And at the start line, I had a lot of anxious. I was anxious. I was stressed out. I was not sure whether I would complete 21 kilometer. So I had some nail biting moments. So till the 15 kilometer, I managed to just keep going, and 15 kilometers, I started walking and jogging and things like that. But I managed to cross the finish line in a very modest timing of 2 hours 47 minutes. Nothing to boast
Mm.
of now, but in retrospect, I think that has been my springboard to elevate my game. And I remember very clearly that I wore that medal. The run was in Delhi. I took a flight and came back. I wore that medal and came to office, and the whole
Mm.
day I was wearing that medal. And every single person in the office, even the office boy, I kept showing the medal. See, this is a medal. I thought, I thought finishing the 21 kilometer was like it's a big deal.
Yeah.
So I was very happy. I was over the moon because that even though I finished only in 2 hours 47 minutes, but that was the turning point or the defining moment in my life where I feel that human potential is infinite. I mean, if I can
Yeah.
do that 21 kilometer from a very fat obese guy, so there is
Yeah.
more things on the radar.
And this was 2000. What year are we talking about?
2015, 16, that
Mm.
period.
Mm. Mm. All right. Okay. So you got your half marathon done, and then the long distance run bug hit
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, then I went
And
straight
it's
away.
Mhm.
Sorry,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
I
Go
went
ahead. Go ahead.
straight away. When I went straight away, I didn't do full. I went to do Goa Ultra 50 kilometers. I signed up for that.
Mm.
Straight away, I jumped, leapfrogged over there, and I was very worried that this is a big thing. I mean, doubling myself, and my family also came to Goa, and they thought I will come dead. But fortunately, I came alive to the surprise of everybody. So I did
Well,
that.
you came back from Bombay after that 3 months ascetic lifestyle you took, and you survived that. So I guess by now they should have gotten used to it.
Yeah. But that was a small run. This was like 50 in the scorching, sweltering heat of Goa on the beach. So I did 50 kilometers in 7 hours. And that is a time when I had this strong belief and faith in me that, yeah, this is possible. This is fun.
Mm.
Pushing
Mm.
your boundaries is fun. So from there, I went to stadium run, I did 84. And from there has been no looking back.
Mm. So got it. I think so something popped for you, right? Something kind of popped in your just in your whole being that which kind of it's almost like you're going a train going, and then you unhook one of the bogies, and there's a separation of what happened in the past, and you suddenly create this huge new realm, and your life changes fundamentally, right? And that's fascinating. So
Right.
how did all this change who you as a person? I mean, one is of course you started getting healthy and you've lost weight. Now you signing up for new races. But what about you as a person, as a professional, as a as a family person? How did it change you there?
So it gave me a new perspective about life. I became more humble, and running is a metaphor for staying grounded. So I stopped getting carried away with small wins and quick wins. I believe
Mm.
that life as you have to enjoy the failure and success both. So I never take success to the head and failure to the heart. So my composure is now much better. I'm
Mm.
much more well mannered. I mean, earlier I used to snap at the slightest
Mm.
trigger, but now I retain my composure. I believe that you cannot control somebody's reaction, but you can control your response to their reaction. So it has made me
Mm.
more grounded, and I understand that understand that you have to be a good person at the end of the day. Okay, that's important, and you have to radiate joy to people. So running for me is like liberating. It
Mm.
allows me to express myself. All my breakthrough ideas have come through running when I'm with myself,
Mm. Mm.
and there is a lot of tranquility. So I keep talking to myself, and it has made me a much better person professionally. My career has taken off after that because I
Mm.
became more confident. I started to apply the analogy and the various facets of running into my work. So
Hmm.
so if you look at strategy from an organization standpoint, and you look at running, ultra running, marathon, I mean, there's a lot of takeaways from ultra running, because even corporate CXOs or CEOs say that life is not a journey. I mean, not a sprint but a marathon, right? This is the
Hmm.
most commonly used line,
Right.
but very few people have run that. The people who say,
Yeah, I get that. So what I'm trying to get a glimpse on, Shajan, in your case, see, you were already, you started your work very early. I get that. Like 16, 17, you're working. For 20 years, you've been working, and
right,
uh, you were already doing well. You were successful. There was something that made you already a successful person, right? And so this change, this sudden change of lifestyle, uh, how did that change anything at all for you, specifically, right? At home or at work, like you said, you were probably short tempered, or you were snappy
right,
before.
right.
But how did running impact that, having more compassion for another person?
So running actually makes you realize that that is always good to stay in the moment. So what I
Hmm.
discovered with long distance running, ultra running, when I'm running 24 hours, 34 hours, in one moment it can be euphoric, in another moment it can be agony, one moment it can be ecstasy, other moment it can be really painful. So I realized that
Hmm.
it's about staying in the moment, and as human beings, we tend to look too forward, or we start looking too backward, and then try to have this sense of that fear, or this sort of uncertainty, what is going to happen to my future. So running
Hmm.
allowed me to stay in that moment and not think too ahead of time. And most of the
Yeah.
problems which we think are problems which do not exist at all. So
Hmm.
that's the biggest problem. To worry about problems which are not there, we get worried. So
Hmm.
running is
Hmm.
something which allow me to just take the next step.
Right.
Just take the
Okay.
next step. So when you hit the roadblock, when you know and your body is completely fatigued, you're just focusing on the next step, and the next mini milestone. So career wise also, my planning also happened like that. I started to detach myself from outcomes. So earlier I was
Hmm.
outcome focused. If I do this, I have to get this result. But then I started enjoying the process. I broke it down into micro process, and started to
Hmm.
enjoy that process. And I knew that if you follow that process structured and then married to that process, the outcome will take care of itself.
That's wonderful. I think that's a great insight. I think you're the fact that you're talking about, being in the staying in the moment. And I think no matter how successful, how much you've accomplished, you're right, right? Anxiety is a part of everyone's life, no matter how well you're doing, or
Right,
because there are just these imaginary worries, and of different kinds. For different people are
right,
different kinds, right? And you,
right,
to your point, staying in the moment, just focusing on the next step, is a very powerful metaphor that I can relate to that. That's fantastic. So that's terrific. So so your lifestyle has changed. Now you've started running. Now you kind of got into ultras, and then more recently you started running some really extreme ultras, right? Especially higher elevation,
right,
and you don't live in a higher elevation region.
right,
So
right.
how did that happen? And tell us a little bit about that.
So all ultra runnings are like chalk, cheese, and coal. They're all different in nature. So if you're running ultra on the road, the preparation is very different. And so always like the mountains, because a mountain always makes you realize that you are a speck of sand, you are inconsequential, you are irrelevant, you are small. So once in
Hmm.
a while, everybody should go to a mountain and bow down to the mountain, because they are so mighty and they are so captivating that you feel like you are just like very small. So always love to go to the mountains. I always love nature. I love to express myself in nature, because it brings out the really best in you, and you can get to see such beautiful places. So during the COVID, I was preparing for La Ultra, and so I had to
Hmm.
qualify for Garhwal runs. So Garhwal runs, I did 74 kilometers from Dehradun to Dhanauti in 10 hours 49 minutes, and the cutoff was 11. It was a very steep run, because you're running on an elevated route. So it was so you don't have such sort of opportunity to run in Pune. But I used to go to Siagar Fort,
Hmm.
In a month, I used to go twice, and I prepared very hard on Siagarh, Rajgarh Fort, and I had to leave morning at 3 o'clock because that fort is around 40 kilometers from my house. It's a lot of hard work I did. I had a coach who helped me immensely. Lieutenant Colonel Romil helped me a lot
Hmm.
in stabilizing my heart rate, because in long distance runners, running heart rate can be a limiting factor, particularly in an elevated zone. So I
Hmm.
did that specific preparation for specific Garwal, and I managed to finish that. And recently on June 20th, I finished Rotang Epic, which is basically run from Manali. It starts off at 9:30 p.m. in the night, and you have to finish in 16 hours. So you go from Manali and go to Rotang, where the temperatures go up in minus, and it's again 14,000 feet, and oxygen levels are below 50%. So I
Wow.
finished the race in 13 hour 10 minute, which is like 3 hours before the cutoff time. And that race, I uh, tried to acclimatize myself by going to Manali few days in advance and then doing for long walks and treks and things like that. Essentially, I also tell people best to try, discover a place or a new city is by foot
Hmm.
rather than taking a taxi. So that sort of acclimatization I did, but I was always confident of running in a cold climate, in those sort of environment. That sort of environment really brings the best out of me, because you are prepared to the T. So the submission to the audience is that when you are going for high altitude runs, acclimatization is central. I mean, you cannot go there 1 or 2 days before that and
Hmm.
run. You have to go 15 days in advance. You have to prepare there, acclimatize there, and you have to accept nature, because nature is extremely unpredictable. In one moment, there can be snowfall or there can be an avalanche, and you cannot prepare for those circumstances, no matter how good a trainer you are. I mean, runner you
Hmm.
are. You have to go there, accept it, and if you feel that things are getting too difficult and you are not able to cope up with it, best is to accept that, because there is going to be another day and another time, so that you
Right.
have to make that quick decision. So it's important.
So how was this particular run in Manali? How did it go for you? Were there any specific challenges you had
It
to
was
obstacles
a
you had to deal with?
it was a very tough it was a very tough run, and
Hmm.
so we had to strategize that run. So I had to ensure that every hour my calorie intake was on point. So I used to
Okay.
have 30 gram of carb loading every hour. So I had to strategize that. So I had to carry my gel. So everything was properly strategized to the T. So
Hmm.
there were intermediate cutoff points. So I ensured that I was well within that cutoff point. But in Rotang, things turned turtle, extremely cold weather, and I could not even move my hands and mouth because body went numb, and it was very
Wow.
difficult
Okay.
for me to even open my hydration, jacket to get water, because my hands had all went really numb. So that was really some bone chilling moment for me. But then we hung in deep. I mean, because of the experience you have of running so many long distance. So one thing is that I managed to leverage my mind and condition my mind well, because body has only finite capacity. At some point of time, it caves in, but the mind then takes over. The mind then controls your body, and the body becomes subservient to the mind. So always I have a lot. My strength is always in I physically I may not be the best. I have a lot of to improve, but mentally I think I am right there, because mentally you have to be headstrong. I mean, you have to be like a bull.
Sure. Yeah, sure. I mean, you started your career, your journey, spending 3 months in the slum. So obviously, you trained your mind very well.
Yeah.
But coming back to this race, so when you dealt with this cold situation, how did you get back your body temperature back so that you could be functional?
So one thing you have to be cognizant is about your heart rate. So once your heart rate
Hmm.
really jumps, so I was ensuring that my heart rate is around 130, 134 ppm. So once your heart
Hmm.
rate jumps over, then it becomes very difficult for you to control it. Then you are basically playing catch up. So you have to
Okay.
ensure that there are stretches in that terrain where you have to walk, and you have to walk. I mean, you can't run
Hmm.
over there. So you have to be cognizant about that. So you should know exactly when to accelerate, when to consolidate, when to lower your pace. So because the strategy was well drawn on the paper, and I was very
Hmm.
clear that this is my race plan. So at no point of time I was getting carried away. I knew I could cover up. So the first So the first was really tough, and then once I finished Rotang, then I ran. So I ran
Hmm.
the most of the distance, but the uphill we have to be cognizant and we have to walk slow. So I knew that it's a matter of few stretches. So that again that thing that take the next step, and the next step, and you have to play well within your limitation, because there is a tendency where you feel that, look, I can really push myself, but then that's the plan which you made on the paper. You have to execute that plan. You can't do anything out of the plan until unless
Hmm.
there is something which is unprecedented. So I managed to follow that plan which I made. So my
Hmm.
submission to the audience is that understand the route map. And we had the GPS, we loaded the route map onto our mobile and we studied the route map to the T. I went through a lot of videos, so I made my
Hmm.
own sort of a research. So I did the planning well. So the planning, so in high zones and in high altitude and in long distance running, your planning has to be perfection. Because if you don't plan well, it's very difficult for you to really, to
Right. Yeah.
finish that run.
Yeah, I get that, but I'm still wondering, how did you deal that part? Tell us, like I get the plan part. Now plans can sometimes go awry, because environment is not in your control. A lot of
Yeah.
things can, like you said, can be a snow sometime, avalanche sometime. In this case, your hand froze.
Right, right,
Uh, so sometimes plans, the best of plans, so you have to adapt, right? In some,
right,
so
right.
how did you so tell us, how did you deal with that situation where your hands froze and you were not opening the bottle? How did you
Yeah.
deal with it? What did you do?
So,
What did you
so
do
what
to get your
happened?
body temperature back?
So what happened when I went? So once we reached Rotang, as we are climbing up to Rotang, so your face goes like this. It
Hmm.
goes like this. It turns on one side, and it's like frozen. I mean, there's no
Hmm. Hmm.
movement over it. It's become numb.
Yeah.
So what
Hmm.
happened? You can panic. You can press the
Hmm.
panic button, and then it can have no it can spiral into unimaginable proportion.
Hmm.
But for me, because my mind is so strong that I know that, so
Hmm.
I distract myself. So what I was trying to do is that
Okay.
I was trying to sing a song to myself,
Oh, okay.
okay, to distract. And of course, the song was not coming out because my body is not receptive at that point. But I'm
Hmm.
singing a song. I'm distracting myself, not looking at the challenge or not looking at what is in front of me. What I'm looking at
Hmm.
is now, this moment.
Okay.
How do I just distract myself? So I continue to stay distracted. And then
Hmm.
the small stretch of that 5 kilometer, which is like 5 kilometer in that area, is like 1 hour. So
Hmm.
that stretch passed on because I kept talking to myself. I distracted
Okay.
myself. So
Got it.
I pushed my mind became my companion. So I made friendship with my
Hmm.
mind. Told my mind, come on, guy, come on, mind, let's do it together. So like in
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
sense,
Got it. Got it. So it seems like, specifically on this particular aspect where you suddenly you're freezing, you're not prepared for it. It was just about continuing to just stay focused on moving forward,
yes,
not giving up, right?
sure,
And not panicking.
right,
But I guess you had the gloves and you had enough warm material to keep yourself warm.
right, right,
But what you're saying really is that even spite of having all the stuff, material to keep you warm, your mind can still switch off and say, oh my god, I'm panicking, I'm cold, I'm getting freezing. But you kept going, and then after that 5 kilometer stretch, things started probably getting better,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you passed that stage, right?
right, right, right,
Right,
right.
right. Makes sense, makes sense. Terrific. So and you completed that in 13 hours, and then you were planning to do the La Ultra. So this was a qualifying event for that,
No,
correct?
La Ultra qualifying even was Garhwal run, which happened during COVID, just before COVID 2019. So that
Okay.
was Dehradun and Dhanauti, and this is a different run. This happened in June 28th.
Okay, okay. So are you still planning to do the La Ultra?
So there are so many challenging runs in India now that
Okay.
I mean, so my next run, which I'm really preparing for, is the border, which is coming up on December. I think 4th, yeah, December 4th, which is Jaisalmer to
Hmm.
Longewala. It's very historical relevance to that run. So this is the only run ultra in India which starts at 12 p.m. in the afternoon
Oh wow.
in extreme heat, and then the temperatures. change rapidly and it moves to sub zero or somewhere in that whereabouts. So that cutoff is 16 hours. So that is what I'm preparing for. But my next
Hmm.
really big goal is to stand on the start line of Comrades, South Africa next year.
Hmm. Yeah, that seems to be on a lot of people's bucket
Yeah,
list. The
right, right,
comrades.
right.
Nice. And so this border run again, is it more in the desert? You said
It is,
Jaisalmer, so it must be
yeah,
desert.
it's a desert. It's a end-to-end run. So there is it's not a
Hmm.
point run. It's a full-fledged run. It's on the road. It happens on the road, not on the
Okay.
desert. But it's a desert. Jaisalmer is a desert. So you in the afternoon the temperatures can be really high up. So you
Right.
have to factor in that during your training,
Right.
and then it can get cold. So you have to adapt yourself to the terrain and to the complexity of the environment.
Hmm. Terrific. Uh, while clearly your life has changed dramatically, right, over the last 10 years, as someone who's been very sedate, busy working, eating mindlessly, to someone completely different person now, right? One nutrition, how's that changed for you? Your eating obviously has changed, but what is your point of view on that now?
See, I think so. There are three pillars of health. One is nutrition, one is fitness, exercise, and the third one is the sleep. I mean, sleep is
Hmm.
of course the most underrated pillar of good health. So nutrition is a key, especially in India. What happened? Everything is adulterated. Even the milk which you are having from the cow is adulterated. Even the
Mhm.
vegetable you're buying from the market is adulterated. So there is nothing called
Hmm.
clean. Earlier, during our grandfather's time or mother's time and all, father's time and all, the food used to be directly come from the farm. Now
Hmm.
it comes in a transport lorry from Chandigarh
Hmm. Hmm.
to a
Hmm.
small, in a stockist warehouse somewhere in Pune, and from that warehouse
Hmm.
it comes to the shop. It lies in the shop. So the
Hmm.
essential
Hmm.
property of that stuff changes over a period of time.
Hmm.
So whatever you are having, even the air you breathe is adulterated.
Hmm.
So you cannot eliminate. You have to mitigate it.
Hmm.
You have to
Hmm.
mitigate it
Hmm.
mindfully. So
Hmm.
always eat clean. So I stayed away from junk food. I complete junk food, no aerated drinks. I think the best drink is water. Water is the
Hmm.
best drink. So 3 4 liters of water daily. I have a lot of vegetables in my food and fruits. Sugar I completely stopped 8 years back itself. So when I was going through a transition of weight reduction, I stopped processed sugar, white sugar. I don't take any more. So
Hmm.
eating mindfully is a key, but more than that, being cognizant of what you're eating. Because most people do not know that tomato ketchup is bad. So they will
Hmm.
have a sandwich and they will start pouring ketchup onto it. So most people don't know that biscuits are not good early morning. With your chai, you put your
So
Horlicks
how do
biscuit.
you make? How did you come to some broad brush principles that allow you to make better decisions on a day-to-day basis? Like,
Trial
you
and
also
error
travel
method.
quite a bit, right? How do you do that?
Complete trial and error method.
Trial and error. Hmm.
Everything trial and error method. There's
Hmm.
nothing I knew about it. Nothing.
Hmm.
Everything I because our body is an engineering marvel. Okay, it has got the engine of a Mercedes Benz. But everybody's body
Hmm.
is different, right? Our bodies are unique to each
Hmm.
other. So
Hmm.
what may
Hmm.
suit
Hmm.
me may not suit you. And what most
Hmm.
people do, the mistake is that they short circuit. They try
Hmm.
to take salad. I mean, is not sustainable. You can't have salad for the rest of your life. You can't go and crash
Hmm.
that for the rest of your life. So there's
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
quick fix to it. I mean, it's you have taken so many years for you to get that weight, right? That fat
Hmm.
accumulate. It won't go in a day. So most people,
Hmm.
what happen when they don't see immediate result, they give up and say, yeah, and they again take the vengeance on the food itself.
Uh,
Okay, I said, chalo, ab kuch hua nahi, so let's have more. So I think
uh,
what people should do, people should just moderate. If you're having four chapatis, start with two. Don't
hmm.
try to reduce all four and then move into salad. It will not work at all. And then
Hmm.
try to figure out what your body needs, what is your body wants. So before that, I will
But how
advise
do you
them.
do that? So can you talk to that a little bit? Like, how did you specifically, figure out what to keep out? Like, for example, you chose to keep processed sugar out, right? You seem to also have moderated the amount of food you're eating. but you're also an athlete, right? You're also doing a lot of putting a lot of effort, stress on your body. So, what have you? What is your formula now? What's working for you as an ultra athlete and someone who wants to eat healthy, just not to stay, stay thin, but also just overall as healthy, right? So, what have you come to as your template for?
So I tried vegan diet and it didn't work for me at all. So I
Mm,
understood that my body is not responding well. So end of the day,
mm,
whatever I'm consuming it because I want to enhance my performance. So
mm,
I want to be more competitive in
right.
sport. I don't want to finish runs. I want to excel in that.
Okay.
So
Right.
I'm looking
Right.
at how it will enhance my performance. So vegan didn't work for me. So
Hmm.
I ensure that I have good protein because protein is important for muscle building and because I
Hmm.
run long distance. So I have eggs is my go-to thing.
Hmm.
I have meat, but not red meat. Red meat I stopped, but I have chicken, and I have a lot of
Hmm.
fish because of omega 3.
Okay.
So I don't take supplements only when I'm running long distance because I want to refill my carbs. I take the gels. That gels
Hmm.
also I experimented and found out this one suits me. So I will. My submission is that protein is good. So don't try
Hmm.
to take any simple carbs. Like if you want
Hmm.
to get simple carbs, people drink a Coca Cola. They will give you instant energy, but it
Hmm.
has got long term consequences. Your energy will completely get drained down. So when I was having
Hmm. Hmm.
sweets, I was finding that
Hmm.
it was inversely proportional to my performance. It was not helping me at all. So when I was having
Okay.
rice, I used to get bloated. It was not helping my performance. Everything I was drawing a symmetry with my performance. So I
Hmm.
experimented with the food. I found that this is helping my performance. This food is
Hmm.
helping me.
Hmm.
So it's like every single day I'm working on that nutrition. I can't say I've mastered
Okay.
it.
Hmm.
And no
Hmm.
one can
Hmm.
say that in the real sense. But one thing is for
Hmm.
sure, you have to avoid packaged, processed, and preserved food. So, like you
Hmm.
are buying, packet of frozen French fries. That's not good. You are
Hmm.
going to a cinema hall and you are having a bucket of popcorn and you have a coke and sitting in that chair for 3 hours. Not good.
Hmm.
You're sitting in a
Hmm.
chair and working for 10 hours. Not good because movement is very important. So in
Yeah.
olden
Okay.
times, people used to go travel kilometers for food. Now
Hmm.
food is searching for you.
Yeah. 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 Those days it was diseases of poverty. Now it is diseases of prosperity.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Back then people were dying because of virus and bacteria, and
Right.
and there wasn't enough food, so you had to work hard, but your heart and your lungs are okay, I guess. Now it's the other way around, right?
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah, makes complete sense. And in terms of your training, right? And so you seem to be putting in a lot of hours on training. So how many hours do you train in a week?
That is very specific to the runs, competitive runs and sign up. Mostly
Hmm.
mine is long distance ultra, so I look at easy runs. 80% of my runs are easy. So I do an
Hmm.
aerobic zone, 80% runs. I only do about threshold 15-20%, and always my runs are 70% of race pace because I want to conserve energy for the big day. So if
Hmm.
I'm doing a ultra, say if I'm doing 100 kilometer, if I'm planning, so before 3 months I will prepare for that, and I will
Hmm.
try to hit a monthly mileage of 350-400 kilometers
Hmm.
and with good tapering because I know one
Okay.
good thing which I've understood is the science of recovery, which is very important for athletes.
Hmm. Hmm.
So recovery is important. So my percentage or rate of recovery has improved considerably because
Hmm.
I do the hard runs hard and the slow runs slow. So
Okay.
and you have to run slow to run fast.
Yeah, makes sense. And what about injuries? Have you had to deal with injuries in your journey at all?
So luckily, by the grace of God, no injuries so far, nothing.
Okay.
But in retrospect, I did a very foolish decision by running on overweight at 92 kg. Just
Oh.
lucky that I didn't get injured. I had a lot of
Hmm.
shin pains and calf pain because I was overweight. And because when you're
Hmm.
overweight, what happened? The load is entire load comes onto your knee. And one thing which
Hmm.
runners must be careful is or work upon is a reflexive mobility because
Hmm.
that's your central unit to your entire performance. So
Hmm.
I didn't know anything. I mean, I learned
Yeah.
everything through the ropes by trial and error. Luckily, I didn't get injured, but I could have got injured myself very badly. So
Right.
to the audience, anybody who's overweight, my suggestion is that first reduce the weight or go for
Mm.
walks, because otherwise your knee can take a beating.
Yeah, makes sense. And what about how do you like 400 500 kilometers a month, and you seem to be almost regularly doing these ultras, so you're probably always in a state of training. Uh, what about when do you get time to trail? You also have a traveling job, your family. Where do you find time,
So I've
or how do you find time?
yeah, so I've got into that sort of a structured discipline. Uh,
Hmm.
so where I sleep off early. Matlab, I try to sleep at 9:30 p.m. max.
Hmm.
Most days
Hmm.
9:30 p.m. I sleep, and I wake up at 4:30 a.m. I need 7 hours of good solid sleep that is
Hmm.
required for me for to recover well. So I don't compromise on on my sleep at all. So my running is always in the morning. So I
Okay.
don't do anything in the evening or in the night. So
Hmm.
by 8 o'clock is done. So and then I move to off. I start getting along with the work. So it's been like that. So and it's working fine. For Sundays I do my long run because Sundays you have more time at your disposal.
Yeah.
But this is quite dovetailed into my daily regime.
Okay. And so you do find time to be with family during the
Yeah,
evenings. That's your, I guess that's how you're finding getting up early, getting your workouts done is what's helping you in just kind of having
not
that
that much
balance.
time as I want to spend with my family or my family wants to spend with me. Not that much time because it's a very brutal sport, ultra.
Uh-huh.
So there is trade-off and there is all these conversations you need to have with the family. But
Hmm.
I think I mean, it's like that now. So let's see.
As long as they get a better version of you, they probably are
I think you
aligned.
already got that better version now. Now is version one, two, three, four, like that.
Yeah, yeah. As long as that they see some benefit in it, they'll probably be okay with you going out and doing these ultras, right?
Right.
Right. Awesome. So that's quite a bit of topics we covered, Shajan. Obviously, very fascinating journey, and you seem to have taken the bull by its horns and turned around a phase of your life that was drifting, like you said, just purposeless, and just it seems like your journey of running has been about taking charge of your life, like really getting hold of it, and versus just letting it go by default. That lot of us have to do when we start our lives. Survival is an issue, so
Right.
you start doing things, and then suddenly you realize, oh my god, survival is done. Now what do I do with my life, right? And
Hmm.
so it seems like for you that was it, and you took charge of it, and I can relate to that. It's although some of us may not express it in that way, but I think most of us who've taken on endurance sports has it has helped bring that kind of a structure and a sense of a direction in our
Right.
lives, isn't it?
Right. Absolutely.
Wonderful. Hey, so going on to the next part of our conversation, I have some fun Q&A round with my guests. So you ready for that?
Sure. Sure. 100%.
Okay. All right. So first one, that is a favorite question of mine. I love. I know you've given up junk food and you live a clean lifestyle. But if you have a choice, what is your favorite junk food?
Tapioca and fish curry may not be junk,
That's
but
not junk food. No. That's purely healthy food. Junk food qualifies as something sinful. It's not good for you, but it's so good, so
uh,
yummy that if
I don't know. I've been running away from samosa for last 8 years, and there's a joke that samosas are following me everywhere. That was really something which I liked, but I given up
Ah,
on samosa. But in Noida, you turn your eye this side samosa, you turn it that side samosa. So maybe samosa. I mean, if you,
samosas.
yeah,
Samosas, yeah, samosas fried and full of aloo
yeah,
inside, and
yeah.
it feels good when you bite. That's your junk food. Um, the funniest thing someone has said to you about your ultra lifestyle.
Okay, very difficult to remember now. So when I signed up for this 24-hour stadium run, My
Uh-huh.
mom said that why is 24 hours? Just run 2 rounds and come back.
What is
There's no need to run 24 hours. No? Just run 2 rounds and come back. So and then what happens when I come home early? My mom says you're back so early nowadays.
yeah, okay, got it. The most irritating thing someone has told you about your ultra lifestyle.
Not ultra lifestyle, but when I was running in Calcutta and that time I was obese, people used to come and make snide remarks at me. They used
Uh-huh.
to tell me that look, they used to call me fatso and all, and tell me that
Oh,
nothing is going to happen. I mean, tera kuch hoga nahi. But that's fine. I mean,
wow.
it's okay. So you meet different types of people.
Mm. That's the most irritating thing you ever
Yeah.
heard.
Inside,
Yeah.
I felt hurt, but I never expressed. I thought I learned it's a feedback.
Mm.
It's a good feedback. We'll work on it.
Mm, mm, mm. Okay. What's your favorite running gadget?
Garmin,
Garmin watch.
Garmin watch. Without that
Okay.
is like it's like you are naked without Garmin watch for a
Yeah.
runner.
Yeah. Yeah. And the last question I have, which I ask all my guests, is if we made a movie out of your life story, A, what kind of genre would you put it in? And B, who will you hire as an actor to play your character?
See, my life journey, if you want a title for it, it can be from zero to infinity. Already the title is
Hmm.
ready.
Hmm.
And actor, I think Ranveer Singh can play because he's
Okay.
can get into that skin of the character. I mean, he can transfer
Uh-huh.
himself, or maybe Farhan Akhtar, one of the two.
Yeah. Okay. And what genre? Adventure.
Adventure come drama. There has to be some. If you want the movie to sell at the box office, you need to have a
Yeah.
little bit
Yeah.
of romance and drama and some action and some story and everything.
Yeah.
I myself make movies, so I know that you need to
Yeah.
pack it up,
Yeah.
package it. I mean, just
Yeah.
running it will be like a biography.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. Terrific. Ranveer Singh. There's a script coming away. All right. Hey, Shajan, that was a wonderful conversation. I think we covered a fair bit of ground on what your backstory is. Obviously, very inspiring, and I think the message, at least what I'm taking away, is if you want to, sometimes drastic goals require drastic action, and that's what you've done. Um, Kind of wrapping up here. Let you have the last word. Any final message that you want to give our listeners before we
So
wrap
first
up?
of all, thank you, Santosh, for this opportunity. I think you're doing a great job in bringing people from various walks of life and spreading the message of health. I think we are in an health emergency. 70% of
Mm,
lifestyle, 70% of deaths in India are happening due to lifestyle. And
mm,
I would urge everybody to take your health quite seriously and prioritize it and make it on top of your priority and
mhm,
be happy from within. That's very very important because if you are
mm,
physically fit but you're mentally weak, spiritually weak, emotionally weak, it doesn't serve any purpose. So
mhm,
for me fitness is a state of mind. It's when physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally everything works in harmony and
mm.
close contact, and we have all become slaves to our mobile phone.
Yeah.
Once in a while it is important to reboot, switch ourselves off from the phone and go into the real world and meet real people.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Great. Great message, Shajan. Thanks again for your time. I'll let you go. Enjoy the rest of the evening, and then we'll stay in touch.
Thanks a lot, Santosh. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.